go dey tell people say wahala dey for this Tinubu matter, una no go believe. Okay, now Tinubu just dey there now. How many months he don spend? Just only 1 month. Apart from he don sack all this men, una see the benefit we follow. I fit talk and say nothing goes for nothing now. Una just come say me person just come up for seat wey be so una no guarantee the person. Healthcare or Europe dey. Europe healthcare dey. That means una no get doctors for Nigeria. Even the BBC make me understand say Nigeria holds one of the most qualified doctors in the whole world. So why are they not being useful in Nigeria? I beg me no come be like say me I can't talk too much. Mona they listening to the benefits we be say follow this new sack. This is not sack. This is, what will I call it? This is you give me, I give you. Because this is not sack. They shouldn't use the word. It's wrong.
Retired government officials get so much benefits. Joining us now on the morning show to discuss the remuneration package for government officials is Nana Sani Kazuri, spokesperson for the Obi Dati campaign. Good morning and welcome to the morning show.
Good morning, Oji. Good morning, Steve.
Good morning.
Well, thank you for joining us.
Good to be on your show.
Good morning.
Well, last week we saw a large convoy escort President Tinubu after his, he returned from his first trip as president abroad. And some Nigerians were outraged at what they describe as sheer wastage of taxpayers' money, given the economic hardship they face brought on by the fuel subsidy removal. We saw our government officials driving around in these SUVs, guzzling expensive petrol. And now, they're asking if the remuneration package, as you heard in my introduction, for ex-service chiefs, the bulletproof SUVs, personal aids, generous allowance for medical treatment abroad, if these benefits can be justified at a time when people are calling for the reduction in cost of governance.
Thank you very much. These conversations will always come up, especially when it seems as if the government is has chosen to be comatose to the plight of the average Nigerian. I say comatose because, like you said in your introduction, the flagrant use of a large convoy. I thought we were talking about the reduction of the cost, what it costs to run government. For example, even the person who sits in the office, who runs this administration now, was once a governor, was once a senator, and is now president. So I'm thinking, as governor, he's entitled to pension. He's pensionable. As a senator, also pensionable. So now, as president, will also, after his tenure, he will still also be pensionable. The Nigerian taxpayer has been asked time and time again over the years, and I remember in class our lecturer once said to us that Nigerians have been called gradualists. So we tend to lean towards gradualism, but it's come to a point where you begin to wonder if the people who rule us, and I'm using my words, I'm being very, 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 very blatant with my choice of words right now, the people who rule us, because these aren't people who choose to lead us. We do not see them cut down or decide to say we're going to reduce what it costs us to run government. For example, we have security votes that are never, most of the time, are never accounted for. And this keeps boring a hole into the Nigerian economy. Nigeria's government is one of the most expensive governments, in the world. And the question is why subsidy has been removed. We hear that from the 1st of July, we're going to start having to pay 40% increment on electricity. For a government to be productive, I would expect that energy in its entirety, when I say energy, I'm talking about PMS, I'm talking about diesel, and I'm talking about electricity, would be subsidized. That's two most important things in any government, would be food subsidy and energy subsidy. Not to say it should not be removed, but it should have been done in a very systematic way. Nigerians should have been weaned off it. You don't just jump from 187 naira all the way to 500 plus naira. It tells, many people are losing jobs. Businesses are winding up because they cannot. Most of the SMEs in Nigeria are run by fuel, petrol. So at the end of the day, you cannot run your small business because you cannot even afford to. You don't have the energy, you don't have the wherewithal, you cannot even afford to pay salaries. And that is why when you remove subsidy directly and so abruptly on PMS, everything in the country goes up because we are heavily reliant on this particular fuel product. I'm curious to see how this government will now, what this government intends to put in place, the substitutes they intend to put in place to make it easier for Nigerians, not just to put lip service and say Nigerians should please be long-suffering. I think we have been long-suffering enough. Nigerians shouldn't be seen to be taken for granted. It's very important. Thank you very much, Oji.
All right, Dana. I mean, good intervention there, but I'm just wondering if in saying all these things, you are still in the mood for politics rather than for governance, given the fact that we're at least a month into the new government. So my questions to you will be to clearly clarify and say to us how the candidate of the Labour Party, Mr. Peter Obi, will have done certain things differently. But first, let me clarify. You mentioned the 40% hike in electricity tariff from 1st of July.
In electricity, yeah.
Yes, today is 2nd of July, and it hasn't happened. It hasn't happened, in my view, because there has been a rebuttal of that proposition. And it looks to me like you probably must have missed that. So the 40%...
Missed that memo. No problem. It's okay.
Yeah.
I'm not in political mode. This is governance, and we're talking about governance. And because I am a Nigerian as well as the gradualist I talked about, I must speak to issues. And you will not tell me, Steve, that as you sit where you sit, you're not feeling the pinch.
Absolutely.
It has nothing to do with what my political leanings are.
Yeah.
It's difficult for us. I just got back from Kaduna over the Salah break. I returned yesterday, and I know what it was that friends, family are going through. So let's not don't politicize this, please, Phil. Steve, I beg your pardon. Let's not politicize this. Let's speak to the issues that are affecting Nigerians.
Absolutely.
If you're asking Nigerians to please if you're asking Nigerians to be long-suffering, if you're asking them, we should also see leadership by example. So let's not bring it down to His Excellency, my Excellency Peter Obi. Let's talk about the person that was selected to sit down there.
Okay.
Let's remain focused.
Okay, I get you, but it's also important to clarify to Nigerians. This is not politics, it is governance. But it is governance because...
governance.
Yes, because people will say that, and you know that the candidate of the Labour Party has also been commenting on some of these things. I'll give you, one or two examples, because you have made reference to what you called the flagrant use of convoy. And of course, that Mr. Peter Obi also commented about it, whether it is 110 or 134 vehicles in the convoy of the president. But you saw that Nigerians have also brought out the video of the convoy of Mr. Peter Obi himself during campaign, which was quite long. I'd like you to marry that with the clarification from the presidency that, hey...
Oh, this is simple, Steve. This is that is just a simple walk in the park. You must always remember that during our campaigns, it was based on a lot of volunteerism.
Yeah.
There were so many people that supported the movement of the Labour Party and what Peter Obi himself represented. A lot of those convoys, I put it to you, that those convoys, a lot of them came through donations, people who couldn't be there physically, people who didn't put themselves front and center, but said, we are going to support what it is you stand for. We're going to support this campaign. And there's nowhere in the that I'm aware of that says one cannot accept donations from people. People donated their cars, their time, their energy, their homes. People donated their buildings that we should use as offices, and people donated their skill. Let's always remember
That's fine.
that the Labour Party came from what was seen to be nothing. And we came, you know, to change the status quo. I like what Prof, who spoke before me, always said. I've said it a few times on several occasions that in Nigeria, what we have are strong men, and we need stronger institutions. So when you bring out, let's talk about the institutions and what they stand for. At what point in time are those who are in government? Like, for example, I know the military hasn't come to affirm or deny what the Punch newspaper put out, I think yesterday or day before yesterday, about the, you know, the severance package that some chiefs of staff would be getting. But these now speaks to how is it, what are we teaching ourselves, what are we showing, you know? Are we listening to the woman on the street selling akara who's finding it difficult to continue her means of business? Or is it that we just don't care at all? Those are the questions that we should be asking. Me, I've always been a question-asking person. And so I'm always going to ask the government, whether or not it is a government I supported, you know, during the campaigns, or whether, you know, we must always ask questions and put them on their toes. If you've listened to any of my interviews, we always said we would hold, since you brought up Peter Obi, I will speak to that, we would hold him accountable.
Yeah.
So this government should be ready. It's early days yet. Like you said, it's just about 30 days or 33 days. But very soon we will have the 100 days, and we will bring out, we'll come out with our questions, and hopefully this government would have been able to
all right,
clear our doubts.
All right, and I get you clearly, but if you had allowed me to actually land on my point, I'm sure that you will have, you'll have gotten it better, and you will have taken everything together. The point about the convoy is basically to say that you have provided a clarification about the Peter Obi thing, that people donated, different people came together. But the same way is the same way that the federal government and their spokespersons, have also come out with a clarification to say that we see how the president moves in Abuja with barely 10 to 12 vehicles, as is expected. But what you saw in Lagos was clearly because you had other people, or different governors from different states with their own different convoy. The acting inspector general of police, who also came, to receive him, and it was like a homecoming for the president. In any case, do you think that this is a major expense that really ought to be arguing, given the fact that there will always be an explanation, just like you have explained and clarified when Peter Obi was seen with, a horde of vehicles? So that's one. Clarification is important. But then you mentioned that food and energy should always be subsidized. And I wanted to ask, yes, this government has removed a few subsidy on petrol. PDP and Labour Party also promised that they were going to remove subsidy. So my question to you is, how will Mr. Peter Obi have done it differently, that this government has not done, so that Nigerians can learn and then use that to hold him accountable? Because he also promised clearly that he will remove subsidy.
Yes, but then he also did promise clearly that he would do it systematically, and it would not happen in one fell swoop. Basically, how he would have done it differently would have been there would have been a systematic removal of the subsidy, ensuring that there are, because of the last administration, it's very difficult for me to use the word palliatives, but that's the word that comes to mind as I'm on the hot seat. That's the word that comes to mind, that there should have been certain palliatives economically to ensure that people have the cushioning effect